everyone, my name's Ezra. I'm a 31-year-old male and I'm a lawyer, working at a reputable firm. I live a great life, working hard and coming back to my loving and supportive wife. However, a loose thread from my life is making a comeback into my life in the worst way possible. I was in high school when I met my girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, Hannah. Hannah was a very different person from me. She liked rock and metal bands and loved going to concerts. I thought she was so wild and knew how to live life to the fullest, man. I genuinely admired her ability to bounce back from everything. I admired her even when she smoked, even though I'm against smoking. I just thought that she was so cool and somebody who wasn't scared of what life sent her way. We went to the same high school, and then enrolled in universities in the same states. She was an artist, and I was also impressed by her art. It was so dark and confusing, leaving the interpretation to the viewer, and I just know almost nothing about art. Yet I loved every single piece I saw from her. Her mysterious aura really drew me to her. We began dating a few months before we went to university, and she was very, very laid back. While I'm a very high-strung person, she often stopped me from overworking myself and brought me back to the world. I like being with her, and when we went together, or at least that's just how I felt about it. I was in law school when we moved in together in the small and crappy apartment I was already living in, and I was just content. I liked that we both woke up early, and I would make breakfast and go on a run while she would spend this time creating abstract art. We never really fought, and she was always very understanding that I was often busy. I liked how our lives were peaceful when we were together. Well, I was interning for a firm back then, and she knew how important it was for me, and she legit just straight up never complained about it to me at all. And I often came back home late and left very, very early. I thought that's because she understood that this was important for my career goals, and that she respected them just like I respected her career goals with her art. Oh, how wrong I had been. See, I'd been growing remorseful because I was neglecting her so much, and I wanted to do something nice for her. When I told this to my friends, they revealed that they suspected that Hannah was cheating on me. I laughed, thinking that they were just joking, but they revealed that they were not joking. They genuinely thought that Hannah was cheating. But I couldn't believe them. Hannah and I were perfect for one another. I couldn't fathom what reason Hannah must have had to cheat on me, so I didn't truly believe in their claims. But they kept on insisting that she was cheating on me in the upcoming days, so I decided to investigate on my own. I decided to surprise Hannah by coming home early. If she was cheating on me, I would find out. If she wasn't, I could just surprise her by taking her out to a fancy restaurant. Either way, I wouldn't lose. Well, I did just that. I came home early, but Hannah wasn't home. I felt so relieved that I didn't just walk in on my long-term girlfriend cheating on me. I'd grown relieved too early because just a few minutes later, she walked into my apartment and, the one we were sharing, and she was with an unknown man. I'd been shocked, and so had she. I was livid and asked her who the guy was, and apparently the other man didn't know that Hannah had a boyfriend either. He apologized to me before leaving us to deal with the situation alone. Hannah tried to excuse her behavior by saying that I was just never home, and she got tempted. I couldn't believe my ears at her pathetic excuse and told her to leave. That's when she grew frantic and asked me how could I just throw our 7-year relationship down the drain. I was mad. How dare she ask me that after she had been caught cheating? She said that it was all just a mistake, a lapse in her judgment. Apparently she missed me so much that she cheated on me with another man, and there had been multiple men for months, even before I began my internship. She did not leave, and I was getting angrier by the second. I didn't want to physically remove her from my apartment, but I wanted her gone. So I went ahead and threw her clothes into her suitcases and threw all of them out, all the while she trailed me, apologizing for her mistakes. But I wasn't having any of it, as I threw the furniture out that she brought with herself when she moved in with me. When she wouldn't leave my apartment, I called the cops. That's when she grew angry, saying how dare I treat her like trash after she gave 7 years of her life for a relationship with me. I screamed that she just threw those damn years down the drain when she slept with another man. It was she who had ruined this relationship, not me. How could she flip it on me? I really couldn't understand it. Gaslighting. Finally, the cops went ahead to remove her from my apartment, and I was finally rid of my cheating girlfriend. The next few months were very hard on me, full of insecurities and rage, but that's how I met my current wife, Maura. I was drowning in all of my sorrows and alcohol at a bar when I saw a group of women enter the bar. The women were seemingly celebrating Maura, clapping her back and cheering for her. I didn't know what was happening, but I was drawn to her and I couldn't take my eyes off her. I was just curious and also a little drunk. So, when she saw me staring at her, she approached me and asked me, "What's up?" That's when I asked my future wife what they were celebrating, and I had been noticing her bloody knuckles, raising my curiosity even more. She revealed that she had just found out that her long-term boyfriend had been cheating on her, and she had found that out. So she beat the crap out of him for hurting her like that and left him. I'd been super impressed by her, but then she tells me that she was a professional boxer. Yeah, that makes sense. She was very muscular and seemingly powerful, and that's exactly my type, baby. We began talking, and I gave her my number, telling her to call me when she had moved on from her toxic boyfriend, and then I just left the bar. I must have taken a handful of steps when my phone rang, and it was an unknown number, and I picked it up. It was Maura calling me to tell me that she was over her toxic ex, and I laughed so hard for the first time in months. I felt in love with Maura deeper than I ever did with Hannah. Maura was a breath of fresh air, and she was loyal. Her work ethic was impeccable, and I was absolutely smitten by her. I couldn't even fathom why I ever was hung up on Hannah when a woman like Maura existed. Maura made me a better man, and she made me want to do better for myself and for my future with her. I couldn't fathom that I spent my life without her and wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. So when I got a job at a huge law firm 3 years after we began dating, I decided to propose to her with a ring that I brought with my first salary. Thankfully, she said yes, and now 2 years later, we're happily married and living in a 3-bedroom house. Recently, the troubles began. I was working in my office getting ready for a settlement when I get a call from an unknown number, which isn't unusual per se. When I picked it up, I did not immediately recognize Hannah's voice or her name, mainly because my attention was divided. Hannah claimed that she was hoping we could talk over coffee or something. I asked what were we going to talk about 6 years later. She asked if I was ready to apologize for how I treated her when everything went down, and maybe if my apology was good enough, she would decide to restart our relationship. I rolled my eyes and cut the call without giving her an answer. I'm a busy man. I have no time to dwell on an ex when I have a beautiful wife and a busy life. However, Hannah did not stop calling me in the upcoming weeks. I'd grown annoyed by her, and she would often call from different numbers, tricking me into picking up her phone, which was annoying because I received a lot of phone calls from unknown numbers that are important, and what annoyed me the most was that she had asked for my help and wanted to meet up. So when she called me yesterday during diner, I just handed the phone to my wife, Maura. Maura picked up the call and informed Hannah that she was my wife, and that I didn't want to talk to her or reconnect because now I'm her good boy. And if she ever called me again, she would face some dire consequences. Hannah still tried to shoot her shot, saying that she just wants to meet up with me once because she needs help, but Maura hung up on her just like that. Maura is one of the most non-nonsense people I know, and she handled it perfectly. Did I mention she's muscular? But I've been wondering ever since, why would Hannah ask to meet up even after Maura told her off? What if she really does not need my help and she's in some danger or situation or something? I don't know. I began feeling guilty, coming up with scenarios where Hannah was in danger and needed help. Was I too harsh on her? Should I give her a chance to explain herself? Maybe I can help her out with whatever she's dealing with. So Maura thinks I'm overthinking this. She claims that if she were truly in danger and needed some type of help, she would have gone to her family. Why would she go to her ex-boyfriend 6 years later? Come on. I don't know what to do. Do you guys have any suggestions? Please just let me know. What's up, everybody? Oh boy, we have a wild story today, and if you think Ezra is out of this pickle yet, you've seen nothing. Because the ex-girlfriend, Hannah, is far from done. If you guys are new to the channel and you want daily stories, go ahead, click that subscribe button, and let's jump into the first update. Update number 1. Hey guys, it's Ezra. 2 weeks ago, I told you how my ex-girlfriend has been calling me nonstop for weeks. I was initially just feeling guilty about not helping her, but this was so unhinged. She crossed the line last week, and you won't believe what she did. Me and my wife, Maura, were getting ready to go to our respective workplaces when we got a knock at the door. Thinking it was a package for Maura, I immediately opened it, hoping to be done with it so I could get to work in time, but it was a shock when I found my ex-girlfriend Hannah on the other side, and oh boy, did she look mad. She tried to push past me, claiming that I was a hard person to find, but I stepped in front of her so she could not just walk past me like that, which visibly made her mad. I asked her why she was here. She rolled her eyes like it was obvious and said that she was here to see what was so special about my wife that I moved on from her so easily. I was shocked at her words, and she continued claiming that I moved on from someone too soon than I should have, especially if I loved her for 7 years we were together. She had come to inspect my wife to see how I had moved on from her so easily. I reminded her that she had cheated on me and that I thought of her as a piece of crap, and it's easy to move on from someone you don't respect or have any love for. She screamed that I had treated her like trash, throwing her out like that. How dare I be mad at her? I was so annoyed at her unresponsibleness, her straight up unreasonable, and told her to leave us alone. She actually looked unhinged with her eyes bulging, claiming that I did her wrong and that I should just apologize so that I could ditch my wife and be with the actual love of my life. She claimed that we would be perfect, an artist and a hotshot lawyer. I laughed in her face at her claims. I couldn't believe that she still harbored any thoughts of us getting back together after what she did. And my marriage to Maura, clearly she didn't need any sort of help from me. She was just pretending to do so, that I would meet up with her. Then I closed the door in her face and let her scream her throat raw. Me and Maura both called to the office to tell them that we would be late. It took 3 hours to finally get Hannah to leave. Or so we thought. Maura told me halfway through her commute that Hannah was following her. She went into work unscathed, but found Hannah's car in the parking lot. And it was in the evening there as well, and she followed her home. The next day, I went ahead to notice Hannah following me to work. Hannah's been following both me and Maura for weeks now, guys. I even saw her car while we drove to Maura's brother's house and while we were driving to the grocery store. We had grown annoyed and drove to the police station alongside her, and when she realized where we had led her, she drove past. But we went in to file a case against Hannah for stalking. The police have suggested that we get a restraining order against her. But can you believe this woman? She's delusional, she's unhinged, and we're actually concerned for our own safety now. Update number 2. Hey guys, I'm back with yet another update. So, it's Ezra. Last week, me and my wife Maura decided to get a restraining order against my ex-girlfriend Hannah, who has been stalking us for a few weeks now. She had continued her actions throughout the week. She would get a notice to appear before the court in a week or so after we filed for the restraining order. But in the meantime, we had to be utterly cautious, just in case she attacked us. She didn't. She just continued to trail us from work to home, and some days I don't even think she went home at all. It was just so creepy, and I felt watched even through the walls of our house. She must have gotten a notice to appear before the court for the restraining order, and instead of appearing at court when she's supposed to, she decided it would be a wise decision to show up at our house on the weekend to further harass us. This time, it's been Maura who had opened the door without looking through the peephole, not expecting to see Hannah, thinking that a restraining order against her would stop her. And when she saw Hannah on the other side, she immediately called for me. But Hannah wasn't there for me this time, she was here for Maura. Well, she pointed her index finger at my wife and accused her of being a thief. Hannah claimed that Maura stole her life and that she should be the one living in this big house with the hotshot lawyer. You know, after all, it had been her who had to live with me while I was pursuing my degree. Maura told her to get lost and beat it, that she was giving her one last warning, and if she ever showed up at the house again, we'll call the cops on her, and we'll have the right to do it because we'll have a restraining order against her soon. But Hannah was undeterred. It didn't even look like Maura was a threat to her. Hannah threatened my wife then, saying that she would regret ever stealing her life from her. I'd pulled Maura behind me by this time, fearing that Hannah might attack my wife because of how unhinged she clearly was. I told her to keep her threats to herself. I reassured her, just in case that Maura did not steal me. I told her that I would not have gotten back with her no matter after what happened, I wouldn't do it. Just in case she could be responsible, maybe she could be reasonable after I laid down all the facts like that, but my attempts failed when she kept on claiming that she would be angry and that she was. She would only calm down if I left Maura. Clearly, she wasn't a person to be reasoned with, and I told her that she had a minute to leave before I called the cops on her and then shut the door. Well, thankfully she left within the minute and I didn't have to involve the police. But Hannah is totally unhinged, and she threatened my wife. Maura is not scared, but I am. I don't want her to be alone until we get the restraining order. I'll be dropping and picking her up from work from now on until we get a restraining order, and I don't care if she doesn't like it. Update number 3. Hey guys, it's Ezra here one more time. It's been about a month since my last update where I told you how my unhinged ex-girlfriend threatened my wife when she got served a notice to show up at court for a restraining order. So, a few days ago, the court decided to give it to us. The restraining order. We've been beyond relieved. Finally, we were going to be free of the constant watching of Hannah. And she's been watching us from afar in the days leading up to the court date. But we haven't seen her this week. Initially, I did not want my wife to go to work alone, but she insisted that we were safe and that I didn't need to go to work late just to get her to work safely. I was hesitant, but I let her win this argument. However, today I felt this weird vibe during the day. I'd driven to the grocery store and I glimpsed back into the mirror. But when I whirled around, nobody was there, and for a second I thought it was Hannah. And that really scared me. But I guess my mind was playing tricks on me. When I returned and told Maura, she laughed and claimed that she saw the same thing happen to her. A few days ago, she claimed to have seen the same red car Hannah drove but immediately lost sight when she glimpsed into the car's rearview mirror. She thought that she was hallucinating, or maybe her brain was playing tricks on her. Then she claimed that she saw Hannah outside when she was having brunch with friends and yesterday, but it was probably just someone else with black hair. I kind of feel uncomfortable after finding out about Maura's experience. I haven't seen Hannah anywhere, and I've looked. It can't be her, right? It's probably just our minds playing tricks on us. We've just been so hyper-vigilant these past days that the moment our focus shifted, our brain played tricks on us. At least that's what I and Maura believe for now. But just in case, I've installed security cameras at our home. Our house is a secure one already, but this will make it even safer. I just don't want to take any chances when it comes to my wife. If it had been me who, Hannah had threatened, it would have been fine. But she threatened my beautiful wife, and even being too safe isn't safe enough when it comes to her. Maura thinks I'm being overly cautious, but I just have this feeling in the back of my mind. Like someone's always watching, or that something bad is about to happen, but either way, I want to be safe. If Hannah isn't watching us, then our house has just gotten even safer for no reason. And this isn't a bad thing. I just hope this pit in my stomach is just anxiety and nothing real. I just want to move past all this nastiness and live my life like I was living before Hannah showed up in my life again. Update number 4. Oh my gosh. It's Ezra. It's been 2 weeks or so since my last update, and I told you that I still felt watched and unsafe, even when I wanted to believe that it was just my eyes playing tricks on me. I'd been right. Hannah is watching us, just from afar and very quietly. I was taking care of some things before a big court case the next day when I get a call from my wife. She told me to come to the police station because apparently Hannah tried to stab Maura in the parking lot while she was returning from work. I'd never sprinted to my vehicle from my office this fast in my life, but I was at the station within 10 minutes when I heard my wife. I'd been scared out of my mind when I found out that Hannah had violated the restraining order and actually tried to hurt Maura. When I got to the station, Maura tells me everything. Apparently, Hannah's been hiding in the dark of the parking lot and approached her when she tried to get to the car. Hannah went on about how Maura apparently stole her life, claiming that it should have been her, living this lavish life and not her. So she stole her man, stuff like that. Maura glimpsed at the knife shining behind her back and tried to de-escalate the situation by trying to reason with Hannah, and even though I could have told her that it wouldn't work, Hannah's crazy. And it didn't work. She started walking towards Maura with the knife on, full display. Apparently, Hannah had been aware that my wife was a professional boxer and now coaches professionally as well. So when Hannah's weapon went at Maura, the knife, it wasn't difficult for Maura to unhand Hannah and flip her on the ground like a baby. It had been when Hannah had tried to frantically get out of Maura's grip when she hit Maura under the chin, causing her to bite her own tongue, causing it to bleed. In anger and shock, Maura hit her back, baby. 1-2-piece combo. Hannah hit her head on the concrete floor and fell unconscious. That's when Maura called the cops and the hospital for the now conscious Hannah. Maura was in the hospital but would have been arrested when she woke up, but the doctors are saying that she'll probably have a concussion. It would serve her right if she thought that she could just get away with trying to stab my wife. Hopefully, the concussion can knock some sense into her. The police think that she'll probably be imprisoned because she tried to, potentially murder my wife, and suggested that we get our lawyers. In our case, it's me. I'm the lawyer. I'm ready. But I kid you not, I had known real terror when I got that call about my wife. I had thought that maybe she had gotten hurt or something. I wasn't reassured until I saw her flesh and checked her to make sure she had no injuries. Update number 5. Final update. Hey, everyone. It's Ezra again, hopefully for one last time. It's been 5 months since my last update where my ex-girlfriend Hannah attacked my wife, Maura, at her workplace. So I thought that I would update you guys about where we all were. We won the case against Hannah, and she's going to jail for attempted murder and for violating a restraining order, which is a criminal offense. She was as a mess in court, crying about everything. She still claimed that all she wanted was me. She should have had me if Maura hadn't come between us, and she's truly unhinged. And she was mentally evaluated and will be giving counseling inside of prison. Yup. The whole situation was just so very terrifying for me. But not as much for Maura. You see, Maura is an absolute champion. But I was truly shaken. I was. Maura's everything to me, guys, and I just mean she's literally everything to me. I love her immensely, and I can't ever try to imagine life without her without even starting to tear up. The whole situation has left an absolute bitter taste in my mouth, and I never want to see my wife in danger ever again. I mean, yeah, sure, Maura's a boxer, but what if Hannah had taken her by surprise and done something horrible? Even typing this gives me immense anxiety. Maura insists that I go to therapy for my fears, and I think she's right. It's not right for me to project my fears onto my wife. I need to learn manage my fears without dragging Maura into it. I've already dragged her into my crap far too much with Hannah. Well, guys, I guess that's it. Thanks for listening to me talk. I know it took a sinister turn that nobody was expecting when I began writing this, but neither had I. I mean, why would I have imagined my ex-girlfriend trying to stab my own wife? But anyways, thank you for reading this. It really made me feel heard. And yes, Hannah did get a concussion afterward. Top comment from the final update, guys. This one is an interesting comment, and yes, it got a lot of attention. Harpy 47 says, you and your wife clearly have absolutely no respect for the mentally ill, do you? Instead of being lenient on someone who's clearly having a manic episode, you goad them again and again? You should have helped Hannah or maybe gotten her family so that they could have gotten her some help. Instead, you're making jokes about how you wish she got a concussion, which causes her to get some sense knocked into her. Come on. How shameful and insensitive of you. Hannah was definitely in the wrong. I'm not saying she had no faults, but you were insensitive and harsh on a clearly struggling person. You both are too insensitive towards people who struggle with their mental health, and you deserve the worst. Ugh.